Welcome to my channel. My name is Sammy, and this is my 2024 end of year tag. Let's go. Okay, I can't believe it's already 2025. I'm not mentally ready for it, but it is what it is. Let's get right into the end of year book tag. Most of these questions I found from fellow booktube girly Sarah Crowley. Thank you so much. Shout out. I'm so grateful that you put all the questions in the description box. I will do that too. All the questions that I answer for this tag, I'll have them in the description box below. If you do end of year book tag, tag me so I can see it. I always love watching these videos of little just wrap up of the year of reading. And before I get started, I just want to show one of my Christmas gifts from my sister. If you can't tell, it's Lisa from The Simpsons. It's so stinking cute. Obsessed. I am Lisa Simpson. Neat. Okay. Also, I wore my glittery. I don't know if you can tell in this lighting. Wait, maybe I could do flash. You see? No. Can you tell? I don't know if you can tell. They're glittery glasses, and I thought it was perfect for New Year's. Okay, let's just get right into it. I'm excited. Okay, so the first prompt is most disappointing book of the year. And I will award that to The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. Not that it's a bad book. Not a bad book. I would never do that to Mr. Hemingway. It was a good book. It just, I think I struggled with, sorry, my hair is annoying me right now. I'll try to stop playing with it. I just struggled with this one of like, what was the purpose? Why am I reading this? What am I getting out of this? Most classics, I feel like, are supposed to have like a hidden metaphor or message in them. And the only one I could get from this is don't give up, keep trying, kind of. But honestly, when I was reading it, I was about to tell the main character, just give up. Like sometimes it's not worth it. Some things I work on, like crochet project or something, and it's not working out and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, I'm getting frustrated. Like keep continuing doing it and keep going is actually worse for me. I feel like I will lose my mind and have a mental breakdown if I keep doing that. Sometimes I need to take a break, sleep on it, come back to it at a later time with a clearer head, you know? And yeah, I didn't really get connected to the characters. It was a pretty short book. Yeah, I remember with these classics, they're written at a different time, so maybe some words or phrasing I don't totally like get now, you know, because like we have our own slang and stuff now, though it's different. And yeah, so personally, not my favorite of the year. I was very excited to read my first Hemingway book, but I definitely feel like there's other books of his that I think I'll enjoy better than this one. But I'm happy I read it. Okay, next prompt is a book that surprised you. And I chose What the River Knows by Isabel Banez. For my library challenge, I was trying to find a book that would work with the prompt. I forget what month it was, but it was Hispanic Heritage Month. And I was struggling finding a book that I was interested in but worked with the prompt. And then this one popped up and it got me because it said, The Mummy meets Death on the Nile. If you don't know, I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. And I'm obsessed with the 1999 movie The Mummy. It's a cinematic masterpiece. If you have not seen it, go watch it. And that right there, I was like, I'm reading this book. I'm reading it. This is also kind of goes with the prompt of unpopular book that you actually liked. I included this because what really actually got me to read this book was obviously that little line got me for sure, brought me in. But what really got me is I normally don't look at the reviews, but I just kept scrolling and I didn't realize I was getting to the reviews on Goodreads. And the first review was a 1 star and it said, The river don't know nothing. And that cracked me up so much that I was like, I need to read it. I need to know why they rate it 1 star And because like the book is What the River Knows, and they said just one line, the river don't know nothing. And I thought that was hilarious. It cracked me up. And I was like, okay, your 1-star review actually got me to read the book. And I actually personally really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's a YA technically, but I do feel like it definitely feels very YA, and I personally love YA books. I feel like you could be any age reading YA books. I actually personally love that. I think I always find those videos of people going through and they're like 5-star books going to find 1-star reviews and see what people say. I think it actually makes me like the book more because it's like, well, I feel bad that you didn't find what I love in it, which is totally fine. And that's why I love reading. I love book communities on YouTube because we get to just share books that we love and didn't love, but someone can absolutely love a book that you absolutely despise, or vice versa. And I think that's just so fun. And if we all like the same books, it'd be boring, you know? So I highly recommend it to check it out if you're not interested in history or anything, I would say probably skip. But I love history and I love mystery. And also had a little sprinkle of like magic fantasy. Actually, the second book in this series came out the December, so I'm very excited to check that out in 2025. And also, the next prompt goes in with this book is your favorite book couple of the year. It is Inez and Haynes from What the River Knows. I Both characters are so interesting and dynamic of what they have gone through in their lives, but also like just their building of a friendship, and it seems like it's going to lead into a relationship is very sweet, and I really liked it. I'm very excited for the second one. The only thing is, if you read the first book, you know there's a big cliffhanger at the end that it doesn't look good for the main couple, but I have faith that they'll figure it out in the end. If not, I'm gonna be very upset. Okay, so the next prompt is your favorite main character of the year, and mine is obviously Perrault. It's the classic. Perrault will always be my favorite character of every single year. He is a main character in Agatha Christie novels, and a new one this year is Ernest Cunningham. This is the main character of the book series Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. If you have not read any of these books and you love mysteries with like a side of a little comedy and just sarcasm, go read it. It's so good. I love Ernest. I also hate him at sometimes, but I just love Ernest, and I feel like he's the kind of character where like he makes so many mistakes, but you still love him, you know? And it's like, oh, you sweetheart, you shouldn't have done. But he is really good at solving crimes in a very fun and different way, and it's very cool to hit the concept of him like what you're reading is kind of like the book he's going to publish at some point. He becomes like a writer in it, and that's really interesting. I love his sarcasm. He makes me laugh. And it's just also really good mystery. So highly, highly recommend go check out those books. This also ties into the next prompt, which is your new favorite author you discovered this year, which is Benjamin Stevenson, the author of those novels. He is definitely on my auto author read list. Like Agatha Christie, Richard Osman, he's added into this Benjamin Stevenson. For Christmas time, I just read his little Christmas novella. I think it's Everyone Has a Secret This Christmas or something like that. That one was fun too. It's really short. It was so cool. He had it into like kind of like an advent calendar. So there's only 24 chapters. So technically, you could have read one chapter a day until Christmas. I didn't. I just flew through it because it was really short. But it was really fun. Also, too, beginning, he always like sets out in the first chapter like what you're gonna like. Here's 3 things you're gonna see. Like someone's gonna get murdered this way, this, and this, and you're like, what? And then slowly you'll like get to it, or he'll be like, oh yeah, when I get shot in chapter 22. But like it's spoiling, but not. It's so fun. Okay, next prompt is the best book adaptation of the year. And sadly, I have not gone into book, movies, TV shows this year. I just haven't had time. I'm trying to focus on my reading, and I kind of forget about the movies and TV shows of books. But I'm gonna put in this, I think it counts, is Bridgerton Season 3, Colin and Penelope. I read this book, I actually don't know what year, last year or the year before, and Penn and Colin have a special place in my heart, and I loved their book, and I'm just a sucker. You know, I'm just a sucker for friends who are lovers trope. I love it so much. So obviously, when they decided that season 3 of Bridgerton was going to be Penn and Colin, which was shocking, I think, to everyone because we kind of all thought theirs were going to be the last because 10 kind of books, it's like 10 years later till they get together. So I was kind of happy that they bumped it up because they're my favorite couple, and so far my favorite book of the series. I haven't gone to them all yet. Don't lay my lap. Don't lay my lap. But yeah, I think this definitely included as a new book adaptation this year, and I think they did such a good job. A different concept than the book. I was a little scared that it wasn't gonna be the same, but they put so many scenes from the book and quotes that I was so excited and they made it make all sense. Personally, I know some people didn't love it um as much as I did, but I personally was very pleased with how the season 3 turned out, and I love Penn and Colin. I personally, this is very rare for me to say, personally I enjoy the show more than the books. Statement I rarely make, but I just feel like there's always like one problematic thing in each of the Julia Quinn Bridgerton books that I'm always like, and I feel like the show fixes it and makes it even better because um, I'm pretty sure so far in the books they're all white individuals, but in the show they brought in the nationality of the characters like Kate and Simon, but also seems like too they're changing it up a bit of sexuality by making Michael Michaela for Francesca's story. So that's very interesting and going more with the times, which I understand this is dated Regency era, but it's not historically accurate. It doesn't claim to be historically accurate. Definitely highly recommend watching it, but I feel like don't just go to season 3. You have to watch the other seasons because it's so. I love Friends for Lovers because I love the wait. I want to see them slowly, like just being friends, and then slowly, and then most of the time, the guy figures out, oh wait, I like her, and she's like, this whole time I've been an idiot. Yeah, that's another thing I really loved, and I really wanted. It was I loved the book actually that Colin was very like, I'm an idiot. How did I not see this? Like he was beating himself up for not realizing how amazing she was. I absolutely love that, and they really put that into the show, and I really enjoyed it. Very excited. Did you like it? Yep, you liked it. Okay, next prompt is what's the longest book you read this year? For me, that is The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. I would say Don't Give Me a Sign in this book, but you can't control me. I absolutely love this book. If you are a Kristen Hanna fan and you're like, I need more books like hers, I would definitely check out Kate Quinn. I am, I love her writing so much. Her books are so interesting because she does so much research. Because they're historical fictions, if you didn't know. And she has so much research, but she also creates characters to be able to tell the true story. And my favorite part actually of the books, my number one favorite, is to read the end, her author note. So interesting because she really goes through like all her research she had to go through and who are based off real characters and who she kind of had to create to be able to tell a story. it so much. But the Rose Code have a special place in my heart because those in England, the code breakers during the war, they allowed homosexuals, they allowed women, like it was a very more like the most inclusive at the time. And I know I could do it because one, I'm not that smart, but two, I could not keep secret. They could not tell anyone what they were actually doing there because they had to keep it hush hush. Also, at the end, there's a little side plot of there's a traitor, and then someone gets framed and not really try to figure out who really is the traitor. And oh, I love this book so much. And I doubt I'll ever go to England, but I really would love to visit the building still up where they did all the code breaking, and I would love to actually see that in our, but we'll see. So definitely recommend checking out Kate Quinn books. Next is what is the shortest book you read of the year, and that is The Tale of Peter Rabbit. I think it's by Beatrix Potter, I think. I wanted to read classics this year, and this was one of them. It really is the shortest book I read because it's literally like 10 pages. It's really short. Highly recommend if you haven't read it. It's a very cute story. It is more like a classic children's book, but it still counts. Still counts as reading. And I probably read it as a kid, but I didn't really remember. I also love rereading books I read as a kid just to be like, oh, I really did like this book, you know? And also the illustrations are so cool too. I love drawings. Okay, next is your favorite covers of the year. Okay, so I wrote down two. One is We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. Such a cool cover. All his covers are really cool, but I really love this one because I thought it was really cool with the barrel of the gun and the little cat on it. I believe his name was Trouble, I think, in the book. So Seeking Cute. I always love the like simplistic covers. I think just are really cool. And then the other cover is Pride and Premeditation. This is a series of like turning classic like Jane Austen books but into mysteries, which is really cool concept. I'm very intrigued to read more of these, but the only thing is I know me and I think I want to read classic before I read it, but we'll see. But these covers are really interesting because they almost look quilted or embroidered or something. They're really cool and I really like them. Next prompt is a book you haven't stopped thinking about. This is for sure Billy Summers by Stephen King. Was definitely an anticipated read for me this year, and I kept putting it off honestly because I was scared. It's a pretty big book, and also this was my first Stephen King book, which like a big iconic legend author. To read one of their books for the first time is intimidating because I'm like I know I'm gonna like it, but also I'm like, am I gonna like it? Um, and Home Run, I absolutely loved it. I did feel like just a little bit in the middle, kind of got a little slow, and I kind of lost interest, and I started Alice in Wonderland, read that really quick, and then came back and absolutely loved it. I just if you read this one, just get through the middle, and then you'll absolutely love it. I love this one. It's such an interesting concept. It's about a hitman, Billy Summers, but he only kills bad guys, which is kind of like that anti-hero kind of vibe, and it was very interesting. But I loved the research that probably had to go into this book is learning about the process of setting up the hit and also the aftermath too, and going to hiding, and that was just so interesting to be on like the criminal side. Oh, but also too, this hitman has a secret interest into writing a book, and that was really interesting. I Billy Summers has a special place in my heart always, and I'm very excited in 2025 to check out more Stephen King books. I'm so excited. Highly, highly recommend. Especially if like I haven't read any of Stephen King's. I think it's more like his classics or like horror thrillers. I think like um It and what's the Pet Cemetery, I think Sam's Lot, that kind of ones. I think I'm a little bit more darker, maybe. I haven't read it, so I don't know. But I assume those are more darker. I feel like this one was obviously dark things in it, but I didn't really felt scared. You know? Like I could read it at night and be okay. You know? So next, you're chilling with me? Games, yeah. Next prompt is Cringiest read of the year. This obviously goes to The Moving Finger by Agatha Christie. And it's so hard for me. It hurts my heart to give a book of Agatha Christie's the cringiest read of the year, but I really didn't like this book. This is the very rare, like, they can't all be hits. Most of the Agatha Christie's I read are hits. But, there's always, she can't hit home run every time, This was definitely one that even I would probably even suggest skipping if you decide to read Agatha Christie books. This one just didn't, it just rubbed me in the wrong way. And I'll tell you why. So this book is part of Miss Marple series, and I'm a little mad too, because she always comes in the end, like the second half of the book, and I get mad. I want her in it, but whatever. So this one, I don't really get the whole. I forget the whole real premise, but the main thing that I thought was interesting, and obviously I'm going to read all of them, but really draw me to the book was the small little town all of a sudden starts getting these. They kind of get those letters of like the magazine cut up, put a message, and they're either true secrets or completely made up secrets just to mess with people. And it's very interesting to try to figure out like who did get letters, who didn't, and then someone dies and chaos ensues and tries to figure out who's behind all this. But that wasn't the part that I didn't like. That the mystery part was very interesting, as always. What the part that was the cringiest was the main character, man. Starts a father-daughter bond with this young woman in this small community. And she's kind of like an outsider, even in her own family. They're kind of like, you're a weirdo. She's not really following the norms for women in society at this time. And he kind of like puts her under his wing to be like, you can be yourself with us. His sister's also there. But you can, with me, you can be yourself and I won't judge you. And I actually at first was like, that's so sweet. Because her family doesn't get her and they kind of like don't really pay attention to her. And same with the town, they're like, she's weird. He was actually very kind to her and be like, I'm a safe space. Then he admits he has feelings for her. And she returns them. And they get married. It's so gross. It's so gross. And also, not just that they created kind of a father-daughter relationship at first. Then they turned to romantic. That's number one cringy. Number two cringy is there is an age gap. She's like in her early 20s and he's, gotta be like 10, 20 years older. Gross. Gross and very manipulative, toxic, and controlling. And yeah, there was one point when he like confesses. It's just spoilers, but I don't think you should read this. One point, like he confesses his feeling and wants to marry her, and she's like, no, and he won't. He's like, I will come back every day until you say yes. No, the woman said no, but she only said no because these are the reasons she said no. She actually didn't like him. It was weird. I didn't like it. It grossed me out the whole time. Every page, I was like, so I'm hoping and thinking. So I'm thinking this was just a different times, and back at the time this was written, this wasn't gross, and it just didn't age well, I think. Which mystery was good. That's the only part I didn't really love, and I would love to forget, but can't. She can't. They can't all be winners. Okay, moving on. Next is lowest rated on Goodreads and the highest rated. Do you agree? So the lowest rated, I was very surprised, is A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Saft. I put this on my 2024 anticipated reads list because I saw it was coming out in 2024 and it sounds so interesting. It's a fantasy book, I believe YA. So in this book, everyone has magic. So this girl, she sews and she creates clothes, and she can actually put her magic into the thread while she's sewing, and it makes the person like feel those emotions. So if they need confidence, she puts that into the thread. They feel confident, or they just feel good, and it really and like also projects it to people. It's like, oh, that's a confident person, kind of thing. The only thing is, this magic it affects a person. So she gets by her using her magic more, she gets sicker. So that's not good. And it's a classic, I believe, Prince girl, I guess you say, romance, and that's always fun. And I thought it was a really interesting story. Was it like revolutionary? No, but it was just a good kind of enemies to lovers romance because they kind of hated each other in the beginning. Classic. Eat that up. And yeah, I loved it more because I love fashion and sewing, so that was really cool to read about that. And yeah, I found it very interesting. So I was very surprised that this was the lowest rated on Goodreads of what I read this year. So I don't personally agree with that. And then the highest rated was We Are Everywhere. This was a book I read for Pride Month. It's all about Pride history, and I 100% agree that this is the highest rated. This is like a it was a big coffee table book all about history, so I highly recommend reading it in June, Pride Month, birthday month. Woo. Highly recommend. It was very interesting. I learned so many things I didn't realize. I also learned why we celebrate Pride Month in June, how that came to be. It was very interesting. I highly recommend. And next is fave book quotes of the year. So I only have a few that were just interesting. This one is this is the last line of We Solve Murders, no spoilers. So We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. It is We Solve Murders, says Rosie, nodding. Great name for a book. It's a great last line. And also, it is a book. We Solve Murders is the name of the book. If you don't understand. That made me laugh. I thought that was a great last line. Next is from In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. It says, imagination, of course, can open any door. Turn the key and let terror walk right in. And last is it's not really a quote, it's just a fun little Easter egg, is in the Billy Summers book. The Overlook Hotel from The Shining is hinted at in the book, and I thought that was so fun. So basically, someone sees something in the distance and then it disappears. So they say, "You're not the only person who's seen that. I'm not a superstitious man, but I wouldn't go anywhere near the Overlook Hotel. Used to see bad stuff happen there." I haven't read the book of The Shining, but I have seen the movie. Iconic, and I love little Easter eggs. I heard that I want to read. Is it 11, 26, 63? I always forget the numbers. Too many numbers. I'm dyslexic. Um, about John F. Kennedy assassination, and I want to read that because I heard Destiny Sidwell here on BookTube said that he has a little Easter egg in there about Derry from the It books. Derry is, I think, where they live. Is hinted in there too, and I'm like, I love it. And that's how a legend you are of a writer that you can just hint at your other books, and you're not, like it's so good. Okay, so that's all I got for the quotes. Next prompt is book with the most unique concept you read this year, and I would say The Appeal by Janet Hatchett. I hope you said that right. This book is so interesting. If you aren't interested in mysteries, I highly recommend checking this book out. So interesting. So this is, to me, is a very unique concept of a novel, is because it is all told in documents. There's not a single chapter in this book. It's only made up of emails, documents, text messages, all this stuff, police interviews, you know, all that. It's just a bunch of paperwork and so interesting layout. I've never read a book like it. It was so interesting to follow along because you're trying to even just number one, figure out who dies. Number one, who gets murdered, and then you eventually obviously try to figure out who done it. And I'm not smart enough to go through documents to figure it out. I'm a little slow, but it was just fun to go along the ride. Did I feel like the reveal at the end was a little let down? Yes, I do. But it wasn't bad. I loved it, even just the, you know, unique concept of it. And she came out with a Christmas appeal novella, and that was fun. I read that for Christmas. That was a short little fun book. And another little mystery happened that was just a nice little add-on. And I hope she does more. Even if she doesn't stay in this town and these characters, even if she just does this concept book with other books. I know she has other books, but I haven't checked to see if they had the same layout as this or not. But I'm very excited to check this out in 2025. Highly recommend. And next is a book you read this year that you would reread. And I would say Sad Cypress by Agatha Christie. This is another, maybe not unique concept, but different concept for her. So most of the time, you know, a crime happens and Perro's called in to investigate. But this one, the crime occurred and someone is on trial. And he is called in to figure out if she's innocent or not. And it was mostly like focused mostly in a courtroom. And I really enjoyed this book. I read it in one day, one sitting. I couldn't put it down. I needed to know if she did it or not, this main character. Because you really go back one chapter, it's like, she for sure did it. And then the next one, you're like, maybe she didn't. And you're kind of like, is she being framed on like purpose, or she accidentally, like, did coincidence happen and it just happened to make it look like she did it and someone else did it, or did she actually do it and she's a mastermind? It's so good. I highly recommend this one. Way more than Moving Finger. It's very interesting also too, like Pero being very like strict of like, I won't just find the things that prove she's innocent. I will find the evidence and I'll tell you what they say. You know, he's very straightforward, you know? Highly recommend. Next is your favorite reading challenge of the year. And I would say my library challenge I did. I need to go pick up my prizes soon. But I really enjoyed it. So my library challenge this year was to read a book that's associated with what's celebrated each month. So it'd be like Hispanic Heritage Month or Pride Month and Native American Heritage Month, like all those kind of things. And I really enjoyed it because I read way more books in different genres than I probably would have if I didn't do the challenge. And a lot of them I really enjoyed, and I would have regretted if I hadn't read them, you know? There's so many different things to learn about different cultures I didn't know about, and it's just very fun, very interesting, and helped broaden my reading. So I highly recommend. Even if your library doesn't do that challenge, I recommend you just doing it yourself. And also, I would recommend checking out your local library and see if they're going to have any reading challenges, and you can pick up some prizes. And also, not all of them are for kids. They have adult ones too, so look it up. Most of them, they are no age limit. Anyone can do it, so check it out. Go support your local library. Next is Goodreads reading goal reflection and your 2025 reading goal. So my reflection for my goal, I did not meet my Goodreads reading goal, sad music. I didn't reach it. I think at 46 out of 50, which hopefully I finished my one book today, so it'd be 47 out of 50, which I'm still very proud of. I did, for some reason this year, I hit a big book slump in summertime. With it being so hot, the last thing I wanted to do was pick up a book. I couldn't do it. I definitely feel like when the fall and winter time kicked in, I was wanting to read more. The only problem was October was insane. Christmas was insane. So, you know, life just gets crazy and you don't read as many books, and that's fine. I feel like the goals, setting up the goals is just to get you motivated, but it's okay if you don't reach it. You know, and I think my reading goal for next year is gonna be 50 again. I think that's just a good classic number for me personally. I don't want reading to get like a chore. I want to keep it fun and enjoyable. So I'm gonna keep it at 50. I'll be shocked if one day I read 100. I don't know how the book girlies do it. They are queens. I don't know how they read 100 books. Also, I'm a very slow reader. So comment down below how many books you read this year and what's your goal is for next year. And last prompt is, what will you prioritize in 2025 reading year? And my main is always expanding my genres. I I love reading different books, classics. I love historical fiction, but also just history books too. Um, Learning about different cultures that I don't know much about. It's always so interesting. I love their learning about their beliefs and their religions and traditions. Sorry, I'm being distracted by myself. Okay, that is all. I could really quickly just speak through my December reads if y'all interested in that. We Solved Murders by Richard Osman. Highly recommend. I already talked about The Christmas Appeal by Janice Hadgett. Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret by Benjamin Stevenson. Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. The movie Christmas with the Cranks is based on this book, which I was so happy to read it because Christmas with the Cranks is a top Christmas movie for my family. Absolutely love it. I already showed you I have it on my little PSP that I'd watch as a kid. Obsessed. And I was very happy that I finally got to read the book because as a kid, I didn't realize. And then I'm reading for my last book for my reading challenge for this month is for the month of December. I'm finishing up a book about Eleanor Roosevelt and her fighting for civil rights. It was very interesting, and I don't really know that much about her, and I love learning about history, especially women in history. Sick. But thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. It means so much to me. And I wish you all a happy new year, and I'll see you in 2025. Bye!